All right. What is up? What is going on, folks? Hope you guys can hear me. Yeah, it looks like you guys can all hear me. What is going on, everybody? I am Boxman. Welcome to another episode of Hollywood Hangout. Just want to make sure my mic is working here. I just put my headphones in for a sec. Everything is fine. My earbuds, I'm not used to not wearing them. It's kind of a habit at this point, but no big deal. But I've got a hell of a movie tonight, a throwback. Um, as far as characters, as far as just the way the movie is shot, the way the movie is even just presented to you, is just awesome. It's really, really good. It's a really well done movie, but like I said, it's really a throwback to those old kind of like 80s and early 90s violent action flicks, and that's exactly what we get here in this movie. Bullet to the Head from 2012. This is really, and I mean, this is really an awesome movie. I really can't wait to get into talking about it. Real quick before I get into the movie, I did not watch any WrestleMania. Me and Dirk talked a little bit about Mania last week. I did watch the Kill Tony Mania, and I thought it was fun. It was what it was. It wasn't great, but they got a gold ticket winner. We saw Nia Jax come out and do comedy. We saw Jey Uso. Um, we saw Undertaker was there. Triple H was there. It was a pretty cool show to watch, and it's on Netflix. If you guys want to watch it, just go on Netflix. You guys can check it out right there. Give me a sec here. Just seems like I'm low for some reason. I don't know. I'm probably not. I'm probably just fine, and I'm not worried about a thing. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the. I just wanted to mention that that was about all I watched this weekend. Just give a quick overview of the Tony Hinchcliffe WrestleMania Kill Tony episode. Thought it was fun. If you like that show, you might want to go ahead and check that out because, like I said, I thought it was a fun show and it's worth going to Netflix to check out. But let's go ahead and get started here with Bullet to the Head. Now, give you a quick we'll do a quick overview and then we'll talk about the actors and then we'll jump into a nice kind of a deep dive into the movie. So let's start with this. This is a Walter Hill movie. Walter Hill has honestly done some of my favorite movies. The Warriors, 48 Hours, Streets of Fire, which I've reviewed on excuse me, guys, which I've reviewed on this show. Aliens, Alien vs. Predator. He's produced Alien vs. Predator, Rock Queen, all the good ones. Last Man Standing from 1996 is an incredible Bruce Willis movie. Him and actually, speaking of the Warriors, we've got and 48 Hours, both another movie with David Patrick Kelly. He seems to like using David Patrick Kelly in movies he directs and produces, or I don't know if David Patrick Kelly just kind of shows up. He was Luther in I actually think he played Luther in both movies, Warriors and 48 Hours. I know he was in 48 Hours, he was Luther. But Walter Hill, honestly, is just one of my favorite directors. Some of his movies are absolutely just my favorites. 48 Hours is awesome. I absolutely fucking love that movie. And The Warriors, I mean, I've done 2 reviews on it so far. So I think you figured out I'm a pretty big fan of The Warriors. Actually, one of my favorite movies. It's amazing it came out. I was like 4 years old when it came out, but what a great fucking movie. So we've got this character, Jimmy Bobo, played by Sylvester Stallone. We'll get into the actors next. He's a basically veteran New Orleans hitman. That's exactly what he is. But he's got, with the code of ethics. See, this is what I love about this movie. You get the narration throughout the movie. Stallone is narrating. And, even in the beginning, he's telling you about his whole life in the movie. And, but but I've got some rules. No women, no children. So he's got some ethics. The hitman with the ethics always. Um, his partner, Lewis, is played by John Cena. We'll get all into this in a little while. John Cena's not in the movie very long, and I said Cena, not John Cena, just so everyone knows. This is the John Cena from he was in Primal Fear. He was in Chicago PD in the first few seasons. He was in that show. And he was also in one episode of NYPD Blue. Not the only person in this show. But anyway, I digress. You've got these two guys, and after his partner gets murdered, they murder someone, and then partner gets murdered. He is. It turns out that the guy they killed is part of a bigger scheme, and they get tied up in it. One of his now they also find out the guy was a DC cop, and Sung Kang, who was Han in all the Fast and Furious movies, also in one episode of NYPD Blue, he ends up kind of reluctantly joining with the hitman, Jimmy Bobo, in order to take on this gang when he finds out what's going on. And the other actor in this movie, the antagonist, if you will, is played by a beardless Jason Momoa. It's kind of odd to see him like this. But this film kind of has a heavy brains versus brawn kind of thing to it. But Stallone is definitely great in this movie. And, very few lines, but my God, so much action. This movie is actually based off of a graphic novel, a French graphic novel called Diplôme dans la tête. I don't speak French. Close enough. Look it up. But this is just this film, when you watch it, though, like I said, between the narration, the way it's shot, excuse me, especially with the Walter Hill style. And this movie definitely falls directly into that Walter Hill style. It just makes for this like old school, almost noir kind of film. And I just have always thought this was a really good movie. So let's go ahead and let's get into the actors a little bit, is what we're going to do. Now, let's go ahead and start with, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Sylvester Stallone. I don't think I need to sit here and tell you guys what Stallone is known for. I think we all know he's known for tons and tons of stuff. And, it's just, I'm a big Stallone fan. I've seen a lot of Stallone's movies. I'm even a fan of Oscar, the movie where he was a gangster, the kind of comedy. If you watch that film, you're going to be like, my God, this is an all-star cast. But as you can see, he was not his usual. He was lean in this movie, but he wasn't jacked. This was 2012, but he was definitely lean in this movie. But as I said, he plays Jimmy Bobo, the hitman that, again, he ends up joining up with, an unlikely ally in Sung Kang. So it's pretty cool. True North Packers fan wants to know, if I don't speak Spanish, how do you give orders to your Mexican housekeeper? Well, first of all, that was French. And I use Google Translate. It's all Google Translate, dude. I just let it play. I just speak into my phone and let it play in Spanish. It's exactly how I do it. You got to figure this stuff out, man. Just gotta know what you're doing. So, anyway, all right, let's keep going here. Now, again, I said the antagonist in this one is played by a beardless Jason Momoa, who looks nothing like Aquaman in this movie at all. He plays a character called Keegan, who is basically a complete badass. um, basically special forces, and just a killer. Some Be prepared watching this movie. Definitely some brutal killing scenes and even the brutal fight scene at the end, which we're going to talk about once we get there, of course. But Jason Momoa, obviously, Aquaman. My God, how many other things has this guy been in? He's been in so many things already. But yeah, movies like Aquaman, Road to Paloma, even a Minecraft movie. He was actually just in that a little while ago when that came out. But we go from him to someone who I guess, I'll go ahead and tell you now, doesn't last very long in the movie, but long enough to be a character that we're going to talk about just for a minute or two. Christian Slater. Now, in this picture you're looking at, that's pretty much the last time we see Christian Slater in this movie, right before Stallone blows his head off. Broken Arrow, True Romance, Very Bad Things, Pump Up the Volume. Honestly, when I reviewed that movie, I even said I believe that's probably one of the reasons I do a show like this. That movie, I loved that movie and the concept of it. So, but Christian Slater's in this movie. He plays a character called named Marcus Baptiste. Now, Baptiste is kind of the money man. He's a lawyer, and he's kind of the money man behind all these projects that are going on, illegal activity and projects that are going on in New Orleans. So that's kind of where his character is. He's the first one they go after to try to get information, and it doesn't last long. They don't really want to deal with him. So then we have Taylor Kwan. Taylor Kwan, played by Sung Kang. Again, Han from all of the Fast and Furious movies. Actually, I think we started seeing Han in Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. And then it kind of just went on from there. But I mean, he's done a few other things than just the Fast movies and this. Code 8 he was in. He was in a TV series called Power back in 2020. He's done plenty of stuff. But mostly known as Han in Fast and Furious. So, he plays Taylor Kwan. Now, he is a DC cop coming down to investigate the murder of not his partner, but a fellow police officer. Now, we find out late. I'm going to get, you know what? Let's just go ahead and talk about him right now. I'll kind of skip forward here. That's Holt McCallany. Now, this guy should look super familiar to you. He has been in fucking everything. My God, he's been in everything. Wrath of Man with Jason Statham, Fight Club, he was the mechanic. He was in Shot Caller, he was the Beast. Recently, he just did Safe House, the Roughneck. He was in the Iron Claw. But this guy is one of those guys that is in everything. You've seen him. I'll be honest with you. This guy is on my list to do a focus episode. He's just been in so many things, and I definitely think he deserves a lone episode. I just, whenever I see him, I go, oh, there he is right there. He was in The Ice Road with Liam Neeson. He was one of the guys down in the pit. Just an incredible character actor who has been in everything. I mean, I remember him from Person of Interest, the TV show. Just absolutely everything. And honestly, the next character I talk about was actually in the show Person of Interest for the last at least three seasons. But that is Sarah Shahi. Now, she plays Lisa Bonomo in this movie. Oh, by the way, Holt plays Hank Greeley. He's really the beginning of the movie is him being murdered. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. That sets the stage for the entire film. But Sarah plays Lisa Bonomo, who we find out is Sylvester Stallone's real name isn't Jimmy Bobo, it's James Bonomo. It ends up being his daughter. She works at a tattoo shop. She also has a little bit of medical history that gets talked about during the movie. So, but she was, like I said, I know her mostly from Person of Interest. Um, that's the main show I know her from, but she's been in a bunch of other stuff. She was in Paradise, the TV show, in 16 episodes. Black Adam, she was Adriana Tomas. She was in that movie. So she's been in plenty more things. She was in 10 episodes of Chicago Fire. So, but she ends up playing his daughter, who Jason Momoa kidnaps. Next, we have a name I'm not looking forward to trying and saying. It is a very tough one. I can say the first name pretty good. But let's go ahead and try this out. Adewale or Adewale Akinyu Agbaj. I don't, you know what? Adebisi from Oz. Jesus Christ. I cannot pronounce this guy's name. He plays a character who they pretty much only call Morel in the movie. He's behind everything going on in New Orleans. He's not the money man. Christian Slater's the money man, but he's putting it all together. It's his crew, and he's one of the reasons that Jimmy Bobo's partner ends up dead. So, but again, in this movie, they really only call him Morel throughout the whole movie. I'm not going to get too much into his character because it's definitely an important character and it's in the movie, but it doesn't get as much. I don't know. It's just, sorry, I left my phone on noise here. Let me turn that down. It's just, I think they could have used the character more. I'll be totally honest with you. I really think they could have used the character more. So, but let's go ahead and move on here to the last character I'm going to talk about, and that is, again, John Ceda. Again, known for, my God, Chicago PD. He plays Lewis. Now, unfortunately, Lewis doesn't last very long in this movie either. But he was in Into the Deep recently. Again, he was on 115 episodes of Chicago PD. He might have come back. I stopped watching that for a while. He was on Chicago Justice, 26 episodes of Treme, Treme. I've never heard of that, ever. But he's another one, though, that I noticed just because he's in NYPD Bluey. So I always notice him from that. But again, he was also in Primal Fear, the Richard Gere, Edward Norton's first movie. He was in that movie, but he plays Louis Blanchard in this movie. And unfortunately, his character does not last that long. He's murdered pretty quickly by Jason Momoa. Again, this movie doesn't give you much time to breathe through the story. It gives you enough time to understand that we're going into another person probably getting beaten, shot, stabbed, or something. That's kind of how this movie works in my eyes. So too bad she wasn't in Thunder in Paradise. Ed Leslie. I don't think so. But anyway, let's keep going here. So that's pretty much what I got on the characters. Now, the only other thing I want to bring up in this movie is the character of James Bonomo or Jimmy Bobo, not just is this movie a throwback, this character is absolutely 100% a throwback. And in my opinion, this is one of the ways they show you how this character is. He's every time he goes into a bar, he asks for a certain bourbon until he finally brings his own bottle. It's called Bulleit Bourbon. At one point, he calls it Double Bullet. Don't know why. It's called Bulleit Bourbon. It's actually spelled Bulleit. Now, it's kind of, again, this is all in my opinion. This has no base behind it. But when I've watched the movie, I kind of got a little curious about the bourbon. So I started thinking about it. And I kind of think that it's basically there as to show what a throwback this guy is. First of all, he drinks it neat. No chaser, no ice, no water, nothing. Just neat, right out of the bottle. Boom. That definitely tells you he's this stoic kind of character. 'Cause that's how, real men drink their fucking liquor. So, I think that's one way they do it. And I think it adds to the building of the character in this movie. It just shows you that he's this old school, set in his ways killer that can be really harsh at sometimes and kind of funny at times. You don't want to laugh at, but sometimes he's pretty funny. But this is like one of his luxuries is this Bulleit Bourbon. And he sticks to he just sticks to what he knows. Again, he's set in his ways. He's stoic. He's very Stallone in this movie. Very Stallone. But I just think this was one of their ways to build the character. Again, make him kind of this hard, not hard drinking, but this really just hard character that is just, again, very stoic, very, set in his ways. So I wanted to bring up the bourbon because if you do watch the movie, you'll be like, hey, this bourbon, why didn't he bring that up? I did. So let's get a little deeper into this movie. Let's give a little breakdown into this movie. So let me take a sip here. All right, a big sip. Now, we get to the film opening. We're in New Orleans. It tells you where we are. And we got Jimmy Bobo and his partner, Louis Blanchard, again, played by John Cena and Sylvester Stallone. And the first thing they do is they're on a hit. And the hit they're doing is Hank Greeley, again, Holt, make a colony. I don't know how to say his last name. It's a very weird, there are too many C's. I'll learn how to say his name before I do a show on him. Anyway, they go to kill him. Now, he doesn't go easily. They think he does, but he doesn't. So there's one thing there. Now, when they go in to do this hit, there's someone in the shower. Okay. They don't know who it is, but turns out it's a hooker. You think Stallone goes in and he says he took care of it. So you think he went in and, took care of it. He killed her. But he didn't. We find out he didn't kill her. And he kind of, at this point, he tells his partner, Louis about it. And says, when we're done, you might want to get out of town. I didn't kill that hooker. So now the job went okay. They did eventually take him out. He got up at one point and attacked him. But what they don't realize is that this is really the beginning. And this is tied into a much bigger scandal than they knew. So again, we get the code of his no women, no children, which is another reason he probably didn't kill the hooker. Doesn't kill women. So we're already established that he is this hitman with rules. All right, most of them, I guess, most of them have rules. Who knows? So there you go. Now, after the hit, they go to a bar. They're going to meet their contact there and get paid. Well, they don't get paid. What ends up happening is they get John Cena first gets ambushed by Keegan, stabs him basically with his own, stabs him in the lungs, both lungs, twice, and immediately, I mean, just boom, 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 walks away to the bathroom to go try to take out Stallone. He doesn't get Stallone. Are you fucking kidding? You're not going to kill Stallone in the middle of a goddamn, in the beginning of a fucking movie. But, and he's, again, killing these guys mercenary style, just a brutal, brutal killing. So that's what they get. So Lewis ends up being killed, and Jimmy Bobo, they call him Jimmy through most of the movie, ends up getting away, Stallone's character. He ends up getting away. So we think everything's calming down after that. And this is where Detective Taylor Kwan shows up. This is where the character comes in right now. So let me move these pictures down out of the way. There. This is where he comes down. He's another Washington, D.C. PD, WDCPD. And he's investigating the murder of Greeley. But he's also investigating the fact that Greeley stole some evidence from the police in New Orleans, and no one knows what it is. So you've got Kwan, who is very by the book when it comes to the law. They make that clear in the beginning, and they reiterate that point throughout the movie more than once. That they make the point that, oh, he's you're gonna have to deal with me as a cop eventually, and I follow the law. The law is this, the law is that. But he's also very techie. So you have this, and I know the Asian character is techie, not what you would think. It's 2012. So all he had was his phone. But you've got this old school guy, doesn't even carry a fucking cell phone. Pretty much just carries guns and knives. Younger, kind of hot shot cop coming from DC, jumps on his phone and can talk to someone and get information about anyone, anything, anywhere in minutes. So it's a good, that's kind of where the brains versus brawn comes in that I was talking about earlier. That's really where it comes in right there. It's kind of why I mentioned it and then brought it back up now. So even though he's 100% law and order, he finds out quickly the police in New Orleans are corrupt. Almost all of them, pretty much. But he starts asking questions about Greeley's death. He does go introduce himself to the chief of police. Chief of police takes his gun, says, "You can't carry it here." So that's how that works. Now, this is where the two meet. All right. When Quan goes and looks at Greeley's body, he notices there's another guy downstairs, and they tell him, "Oh, this is Louis, local hitman, who was killed within the hour, within an hour of whatchamacallit dying. Lewis, I'm sorry, Hank Greeley, of Greeley dying." So this is where Quan decides to call up Jimmy Bobo, and they meet at a bar. And this is where we get this is the second time they mention Bulleit Bourbon in this movie, and we're very quick into the movie already. But they mentioned the Bulleit Bourbon, and this is where, again, you kind of just see the difference in the two characters. But they meet, and they basically treat each other like they're both suspects. Stallone's character is definitely suspicious of the cop, and the cop treats Stallone like a scumbag hitman. I don't know what the fuck he expected, but he treats him like a scumbag hitman because he's a scumbag hitman in this movie. So Quan leaves, and within a couple of minutes, he sees he's being followed, takes out the two guys. But what he realizes after he takes out the first guy is that he was a cop. Well, the second guy almost jumps him, shoots him, and now Quan did get shot once in the shoulder. Okay. So that's what we do find out. Now, right as the other cop is about to shoot him, here comes Jimmy Bobo, takes out that cop, and now he's like, listen, glad I followed you. Obviously, we need to work together. Reluctantly, they do work together. Now, this is where we meet Sarah Shahi's character, because he takes Quan to get fixed up, to get his shoulder patched up. Again, she's a tattoo artist, but she was in medical school for a year before she dropped out. Whatever. Also, you see a little bit of love interest between Sarah's character and Quan. So that we get a little bit of. Now, after they leave the shop, after he's patched up, Bobo and Quan end up going to meet a guy named Ronnie Earl. Now, I didn't get I closed that screen. Give me a second. I meant to tell y'all who that was played by, and I forgot, but I will tell you. He's another character actor you've seen in a bunch of movies. Did I just say character actor? I don't know what the hell that was. Brian Van Holt. He was in the movie Basic. If you saw the movie Basic, he was the guy that was being held the whole time, and John Travolta was talking to him. He was in Cougar Town, Den of Thieves. He was in Black Hawk Down. He was Strucker. Great movie. He was in Joe vs. Carol. He was in 8 episodes of that. Training Day, he was in the TV series, not the movie. So he's been in plenty of things, but I don't have a picture of him. If you want to look up Brian Van Holt, go for it. I recognize him because I'm weird like that. So, anywho, this is who they go to meet. Now, Ronnie Earl is the guy who set up the hit on Greeley. Now, we find out that, he hears from a guy who hears from a guy, and he gets the call. So it gets passed down the chain a lot in order to get to these kind of low-level hitmen. So what we know and what Stallone doesn't is that we see before he walks in, Stallone walks into the massage parlor to meet Ronnie Earl. We saw him take the firing pin out of Stallone's gun. Now, we don't know that, or he doesn't know that, but we know that. Confrontation happens. Next thing you know, Ronnie tries to get away. Stallone figures out, fuck, my gun's been fucked with, ends up getting the other guy's gun, shoots him. So that's all that that character lasts of Ronnie Earl. Not long at all. So obviously Stallone is pissed when they found out his gun was tampered with. And this is another character building moment in the movie where you can tell Stallone is like, why the fuck won't this guy just listen to me? This is my city, my town. He doesn't know who he's fucking with. Goes out, punches him. Don't fuck with my gun. And that's what we get right there. Now, in the midst of this, after this little thing, Quan jumps on his phone and they find out about Baptiste. Again, Christian Slater's character. And they're like, all right, we got to get this guy. This is the guy we need to get. So they grab him. He's having a very New Orleans style party. He's got naked girls in masks and all kinds of things going on, all kind of debauchery going on at this party. And this is also where we meet Morel, the character, the really the bad guy in the movie. Baptiste ends up kind of being used in this movie, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. So Morel is at the party. He's doing all this kind of seedy type business, and you can kind of tell that him and Christian Slater's character Mark just don't really get along. You got Morel kind of being this rich asshole, and you've got this Christian Slater being Christian Slater, acting drunk and having a great time, trying to see some titties. Can't blame the fucking guy. So they go get him at his party. And in the party, we got Stallone. He sees Keegan, Jason Momoa's character. He sees him, but there's too many witnesses, so he doesn't do anything. So they end up taking Baptiste to a boathouse for interrogation. Now, we saw the picture a little while ago. We know how that goes. Not very well. Not very well at all. Slater's character does not make it through that little interaction. But what he does provide them to try to keep his life is a flash drive that was around his neck with the evidence that has all of Morel's schemes and criminal activities on it. Even political influence, people he was going to blackmail, everything. So this movie takes a small shift from action crime thriller for just a little while into kind of a conspiracy thriller just for a little bit. Now, what we found out is that they had Marcus Baptiste's character bugged. They had a GPS on him. So before you know it, this place is being, shot to shit. But this wasn't just a boathouse. This was a safe house for Bobo. So they start escaping, and boom, the whole place starts blowing up. Fucking, this is just like a Walter Hill explosion. Just boom, boom. Bombs going off everywhere. The whole place was wired. And you get him and Quan arguing, as they do many times in this movie, about the methods of Jimmy Bobo. I mean, he literally just took a shotgun and shot Christian Slater's character right in front of a cop. Right there. No questions. Boom. And then tried to explain it. Listen, he knew what he got into. These are my rules we're playing by now. So, but yeah, the partnership kind of goes a little sideways at times, but that's fine. Now, what happens is Quan reaches out to the lieutenant. I said chief earlier. I meant lieutenant. That he originally came to see, that let him know he was there. Well, the lieutenant says, we need to meet. You tell me everything you got. Not the way it goes. Lieutenant pulls a gun on him, tries to kill him. Next thing you know, right outside his window, you guessed it, Jimmy Bobo blew the lieutenant's head right off. Didn't even question it. Right through the window. So that's 2 times Bobo has saved Quan's life. So despite being a criminal, he's actually more reliable than the goddamn corrupt police that are in fucking New Orleans taking care of this. At least one of them has some fucking morals. The cops don't seem to in this little town. Which you would expect. Which you would expect them to have. So this is where it starts getting a little murky. This is where the daughter gets kidnapped. Lisa Bonomo gets kidnapped. And this is where the movie, the stakes rise, obviously. Now, Morel offers a trade. Give me the flash drive you have. I'll let Lisa live. So they go in. Now, of course, there's a plan here. There's always a plan. So they go in, and Quan and Bobo go in with a plan. And basically, we're going to take all these motherfuckers out. Because when his daughter is taken, this movie turns from, okay, this is just a simple revenge killing, action flick. He's trying to, avenge his partner's death. Fuck that. Now everyone's fucking dead. Everybody's gonna die now. Oh, you took his daughter. So this shit definitely took a little toll, a little switch. Now it becomes about family instead of just about his old partner. So now the exchange is starting to go, and Morel and Keegan are there, and Morel is actually about to keep his word. Like, you can take your daughter, give me the flight, and you can leave. And Keegan is like, dude, you don't have to do this. We've got we've got the upper hand. He's got nothing at all. We've got everything we need. Well, they start arguing. Eventually, Bobo does walk. He starts to walk out. And more fucking, what's his name? Keegan goes crazy. Kills Morel, kills everyone he sees on his way down to. Now he's looking for Jimmy Bobo. And they're all, and he's just murdering people. Keegan is Jason Momoa's character. Well, the real boss is gone in Morel. So now this guy is completely unchained. And this is where it gets pretty fucking badass. Now, let's get to the final fight. I didn't expect this to be a long show tonight, guys. And I'll be honest with you. I just got back right before I started this show. I just got back from my daughter's softball game. So I wasn't even sure I was going to make it. Now, we've talked a little bit about Walter Hill liking to use some of the same characters, obviously some of the same actors, and David Patrick Kelly, as we said. But what he also likes to do, and I've noticed this in more than one of his movies, in his action flicks, he likes to have characters fight with different kinds of weapons. Now, in The Warriors, it was baseball bats with the Baseball Furies, if you guys remember that feud. That's where that started. Then you go to the 80s and you get Streets of Fire, where you get Michael Pare, who played Eddie and the Cruisers, and Willem Dafoe, who are fighting with, as you can see here, these picks. I don't know if they're called pickaxes or what, but with these picks. All right. This is another Walter Hill flick, Streets of Fire. So in this movie, they actually use axes. And I mean, you can see it's almost the same scene. I should have put them side by side, but I didn't. You can rewind real quick and then go back. Just rewind, go back, rewind, go back. Okay. Now you see the difference. Not much. It's almost the same scene, updated. So there's a definite styling to Walter Hill when it comes to the weapons he likes to use in his movies, obviously. I picked up on it, and you don't really get this in 48 hours. I don't think they fight with anything like this in 48 hours. They don't. Mostly guns in that movie. And in the second one, it's all guns. Bikers and guns. So that was pretty cool. The fight that they had, because, it was just a great scene. Again, you've got this old school movie with some of these brutal fight scenes, and it makes the movie great. But they're fighting with these axes. This fight is great, and it's even shot well, because a lot of it's more close up than you would think it would be. So this is 100% Walter Hill, though. Bobo ends up stabbing Keegan with Lewis's knife he'd been carrying around, because that's what he was going to kill him with. But Quan ends up shooting him in the head. So Keegan's out of the picture. But again, we've got the Law and Order cop. Okay. And he says, listen, time for me to deal with you as a cop now. We got to sort this out. Well, Stallone goes, let me sort you out. And puts a bullet in his shoulder. And basically says, all right, you tell them Keegan went crazy. I shot the rest of the guys that he didn't. You came in and saved the day. So the daughter is pissed off because, her dad shot Quan. But what we find out a little while, the movie goes to 6 weeks later, okay, after that. And they meet up again at a bar, Bulleit Bourbon, same shit. And we find out through the narration of Stallone that he actually did stick to the story. And Bobo was in the clear on all this shit. So, but he does say, everything you did in the past, I'm going to forget. But anything you do in the future, I'm coming for you. And, Stallone's like, ooh, okay. Basically, he goes, okay, let's do it. Basically, he challenged him in his answer. It was almost like he was standing in front of, Mr. T when he says, I'm going to bust you up. Go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, 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 yeah. So we also find out that Quan got his first tattoo and that him and the daughter are seeing each other and have been since she kept coming to see him in the hospital. So that's pretty much pretty deep dive into the movie. I didn't talk about everything because, like I said, I'd rather you guys watch these movies rather than me tell you every single detail. I'd rather leave a few details out that you yourselves, makes it a little easier. But this movie's it's definitely not a buddy cop story. You could even call it an anti buddy cop movie. It is just absolutely not a buddy cop movie at all. But it's a great story. And, you got the hitman's code, the hitman with a code. You got the police corruption, and you've got the revenge plot, which is always a good plot for any kind of action movie. So you've got all that. But, you got Bobo versus Keegan, but, Bobo's it's almost like you watch him trying to function inside this corrupt system, and Quan just doesn't get it. Bobo knows how corrupt everybody is in this whole thing. And Quan just sees everyone as these law-abiding people. And he's like, dude, that's not the world we're in right now. We are in the underworld, the crime underworld. You're going to have to play by my rules. That's the rules these guys play by. They're going to kill you, or I'm going to kill them, or us, or I'm going to kill them. So that's pretty much this movie. Again, this is definitely a fun movie to watch. It's not that long. It's a 92-minute movie. You got an hour and 32 minutes. It's not a very long movie. It moves very fast because of the action in it, the fast-paced action. But I think the only Stallone movie I've talked about on this show, and I've talked about it a long time ago, was Demolition Man. I think that's the only movie I've ever talked about Stallone, and I don't think I've done any more Stallone movies. I need to do more. I should do some more. I really should, because I love these Stallone movies, especially this one. This is just a fun one. You can turn this on. I turn this on all the time, just in the background, doing dishes, doing laundry, whatever. Put the headphones on and blank out to it. But this is again, the cast in this movie is really good. any Stallone and Jason Momoa. Are you kidding me? Fucking great. Great movie. But I would definitely recommend you go check this one out. I think, let me see something. I think it's streaming on, oh, well, right now you can only watch it on Univision. I don't think you want to do that. It's on, oh, hold on. YouTube TV has it. It's on Apple TV. You can rent it for $3.99, and Fandango and Amazon Prime both have this. So if you've got Amazon Prime, you can get this movie. Apple TV, you can get it, and even on Google Play, you can get this, and YouTube TV and all that stuff. So this movie is definitely watchable if you guys want to check it out. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I've got sick kids, and my middle one is sick. Had to pick him up from school today. My daughter had softball. Literally, I got home 20 minutes before I had to start this show, and I had to get everything ready and get a beer. And I haven't eaten, so I'd like to eat before I finish this beer, so I'm not spinning. But anyway, this is definitely a movie I think you guys would want to check out. I hope I've done well and you guys want to check it out after listening to this. But I'll figure out what I'm doing in the next week. And Packers fan, appreciate you coming on in here. I knew this wasn't going to be a movie that was going to be very popular with the live crowd, and I'm not worried about that. I appreciate you hanging with me for the movie. But folks, I'll be back here next week. Keep run over to Hollywood Hangout on YouTube. Check us out. And I usually put up there on at least by Wednesday the movie I'm planning on doing, or the actor I'm talking about, or whatever it may be. So get ready for that. Enjoy the weekend coming up, folks. Have a happy Friday. And we will talk to you next week. That's it. Have a good one. This is Boxman. Thanks for joining me on Hollywood Hangout.